Hey everybody, I'm Schneider, and in today's video, I'm going to look at the very first part of Versace on the Floor by Bruno Mars, and I'm going to do a full reharmonization of this tune in a video that's going to come up soon, but I want to focus on the very first phrase because I'm using this really common gospel harmonization technique. I think it's going to be useful for you guys to know because it's a really good technique for harmonizing melodies, especially melodies that are scalar, like this one, where it's going down the D major scale in that case. So the original harmony goes like this. So it's going from the 1 chord to the 3 chord to the 4 chord. We're going to do a fairly similar, well, it's actually only going to be similar in that we start on the D major. So we have the D major chord up front, and then I'm going to harmonize this line here by going between 2 chords. I'm going to go between a D sharp diminished 7th chord and an E minor chord. Notice how those 2 chords are related. The D sharp diminished 7th chord is the 7 of E minor. So if I play an E harmonic minor scale, for instance, that 7th note is D sharp. And if I build a chord using that scale, I've got D sharp diminished 7. Now the way I'm going to play these chords is with a voicing type called drop 2 voicings. Drop 2 voicings basically means that if you play a closed position voicing like this, where all of the chord tones are right next to each other basically, I'm going to take the second highest note, second being the drop 2, and I'm going to drop it down an octave. So now this F sharp, which is the second highest note, I'm going to drop it down an octave. So let's just do a quick example. If I have a C major 7 chord, the second highest note is G, and then to make it drop 2, I put it down the octave like this. The drop 2 voicing technique doesn't sound great on all chords, but some it really does work well. And if you haven't checked out Sick Chords Volume 1, which is the collection of voicings that I just put out, it's on my website. I've been talking about it a lot recently. If you haven't checked out that collection of voicings yet, I really recommend doing so. It's really good for piano players, but also producers and arrangers. It's hundreds of voicings for 7th chords. I know I've been talking it to death lately, but it's something I'm really excited about, so I hope you get a chance to pick it up. It's a download, so you can get it immediately. So yeah, the drop 2 voicing technique is something that I've used in that collection of voicings. I've used it multiple times in some unusual ways. So if you do pick up Sick Chords Volume 1, keep an eye out for drop 2 voicings and see if you can identify where I've used that. Okay, but let's get back to this. I'm only going to be using drop 2 voicings for this harmonization. So I'm going to go between, like I said, the 7 chord and the 1 chord. 1 in this case being E minor, 7 being D sharp diminished 7. So we're starting on the D sharp diminished 7, and we're in that drop 2 voicing, and then I'm going to go to E minor, which also happens to be a drop 2 voicing. And from there, as I said, we're alternating between the two. So I'm going to go back to my D sharp diminished 7 chord, but now I have F sharp in the melody. And then once again, I'm going to go back to E minor 7. So there we are, still in drop 2. So I'll play that all together. What also works nicely is if you do a flat 5 on the minor chord, especially this one at the end. Check it out. It gives it a crunchier sound. So that's like an E minor 7 flat 5 chord, which works well there too. You hear this technique a lot in gospel music, especially for walk-ups and things like that, because after all, it does work well with those scalar phrases. So if you have something like this, that line was, and I use the same technique where in this case I'm going between C sharp diminished 7 and D minor. And then what I do is I kind of shift into this mode of G minor, and I do a very similar technique. It's still that drop 2 thing with the diminished chord. This is diminished F sharp diminished 7. Same thing, F sharp diminished 7, just a different inversion. And then ending on G minor. So that riff again was, this is the C sharp diminished 7, D minor 7, C sharp diminished 7. Now we're switching into G minor because this is the F sharp diminished 7. And then I'm jumping it up a minor third to still F sharp diminished 7 and landing on that G minor. So you can use this technique all over the place. I wanted to use it in Versace. So again, this is how it goes. Okay, so I'll teach you the last 2 chords of that part. So you know what I'm doing here. drop 2, drop 2, drop 2. And then I resolve this E minor to an A major, which is essentially a 2-5. But with really nice voice leading, because I'm not moving my hands too much here. And then I go to the one of my favorite chords, which is the 6 major chord in a major key, which in this case is B major 9. So I'm going to continue the reharmonization. I'm going to do another video in a little bit where I play a full reharm of Versace on the Floor. I know you guys had requested me turn this into a little bit of a jazzier rendition. So stay tuned for that. And again, if you haven't checked out the Sick Chords Volume 1, really recommend doing so you can pick up a lot of these voicings and plenty of other ones. And it makes this kind of work, reharmonization, so much easier because you have all the voicings at your disposal and you can just try different things out and you don't have to worry too much about the theory or anything. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I'll see you soon in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.